Hi, this is Gretchen here, and I want to do a brief tutorial on BibleHub.com. I'm working off of an iPad here. You can do the same things on a computer, any other kind of tablet, or a phone that has a web browser. It'll just look a little bit different, and so my iPad is also in the horizontal or the landscape position. And so sometimes on your phone, you will need to do the same in order for all of the options to come up. So if you'll just go to the website BibleHub.com in your browser, and then I'm going to walk you through if I was eating John 1 through 5. And so at the very top where you see Genesis 1:1, I want you to pick the drop down on Genesis and scroll down until you find the book of John. And it actually comes up on John chapter 1, verse 1. But if I was going, for instance, to John 17, verse 10, that's how I would find that. So let's go back to John chapter 1, verse 1, and you can pause this video and kind of work through your own device as you have time and practice some of this getting around in Bible Hub. There's two features that we use most generally in eating the Word. And so if you'll look below, there's two blue sections below John 1:1. And then right below that, there's a white section, and it starts with the word parallel. And over towards the right, you'll see interlinear. It's for interlinear. And then you'll see the feature of lexicon. I want you to go ahead and click on lexicon. And this takes the verse 1 of John chapter 1. And on the left-hand column, it uses the New American Standard Bible. And it has the scripture broke out into different segments. Those segments are based upon how the Greek has it lumped in together with the Strong's Concordance. So the first column is just how you would read it in an NASB Bible. The second column is the Greek word written in Greek, which I'm not sure if any of you know how to read Greek. And then it's the English word for the Greek word. So the second one, if you notice, it's written in Greek, and then the English word of the Greek word is logos or logos. Some people pronounce it like that. Underneath it, the next column is the Strong's number. So if you are familiar with the actual book, the Strong's Concordance, these are the same numbers, but they're right here at your fingertips, as well as many other study tutorials within the Strong's numbers, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then on the right hand side, it is the column, the word origin. And so if there's a root word or a word where it comes from an origin, it will be right there. Those are really good. For instance, if you see a word that, if you know what the dunamis power is, and it has the origin of dunamis or dunamai, it will be there on the right, and so that will give you a little bit of familiarity on where the word comes from. So right here, the lexicon feature gives you a broad overview of the scripture. And so here you can see, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so all three of the words word are the same Strong's number, 3056. The same with was with God and was God are the same Strong's number, 2316. Now that always isn't the case, and so that's why the lexicon feature is a really good feature to be able to look for that. Now I'm going to click the blue arrow, and I'm going to go to my next verse I'm looking at. And if you notice here, the Strong's number for with God is 2316. I'm going to click the blue arrow backwards, and that is the same number the same Greek word, and we're in the Greek because we're in the New Testament. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew. And so in the first two verses, the Greek word for God, 23:16, is used 3 times. I'm going to go ahead and click the blue arrow again to verse 3. And there you can kind of see the same overview. All things came into being. The word came there and the word into being is actually the same Greek word. It's 1096. And I'll show you why those are significant in just a moment, as well as the last segment of came into being, that has come into being. Those all 3 are the same Greek words. And then in John 1:4, in him was life, and the life is the same Greek word. And then if you'll notice, light is 54:57. I'm going to go on to verse 5, and you will see the same light in verse 5 as well as to darkness. So if you look at this passage together as a whole, it has a lot of the same Greek words, probably with the same meanings, and we'll dive into that here in just a second. I'm going to go back using the drop down back to verse 1, or you can click the back arrow 4 times to get you back. I want to show you the other feature that we use. This is the lexicon feature. If you'll go back up to the top, it has John 1:1, and then it has the 2 blue bars, and then the next row is the white bar of words starting with parallel. And move over to the right to interlinear and click that, interlin. And if you see there, it's written completely different. So I'm going to switch back and forth between this feature and the lexicon feature. If you'll see, the lexicon has the Strong's numbers here in the column. The interlinear has them at the very top row. And as you can see, there are more in the interlinear than there are in the lexicon. The interlinear is where we find a better picture of what the original language was like. But because we don't read and understand Greek, unless you're educated in it, sometimes the way things are written does not make sense to our English language, which sometimes our English language doesn't make sense. But you will see here in the very first of this verse, there's a word bracketed. That means that it's been added in. And so the original here would say, in beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. To where in our Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so what they've done in translating it, for those of us that understand the English culture, the American culture, the English language culture, they have translated it different. And so I want to just look at the word here. And so the top line is the Strong's number. The next, and I'm guessing those of you with tablets know you can actually scroll in and make your screen bigger. And so sometimes it helps you to not fat finger something that you didn't want to click on. And so we're going to just go ahead and click here on the 3056, and it actually goes into different segments for us. The Strong's Concordance is at the top, and this is a brief overview of what the word means. And so it actually means a word as embodying an idea, a statement, a speech, a word, a speech, divine utterance, and analogy. It also shows the part of speech as a noun, and that's very important in a lot of verses, because sometimes we think that they're a noun and it's really a verb, and sometimes we think it's a verb and it's really a noun. And so those are the two parts of speech that you really want to pay attention to when you're in Logos. Not that the others don't, I mean, when you're in Bible Hub. not that the others don't matter, but they're very helpful. So an example would be in the Great Commission, where it says, go and make disciples. When you look at that word, when you think about it, the word make is the verb and the word disciples is a noun. But actually in the original language, it says having gone disciple. And so make disciples in the lexicon is actually a verb. And so we're to disciple. We don't make anything, he makes disciples. We just get to go and disciple people into who Jesus is, and teaching them how to hear the voice of the Lord, walk out their obedience, and all of that fun stuff. The next section is the helps word study, and this gives kind of a general overview as well. And then the NAS exhaustive concordance sometimes will shed a little bit more light into it. The Thayer's Greek lexicon, and these are Greek and New Testament features of Bible Hub. I'll go show you at the end the Hebrew features, because they've got different features here. But the Thayer's Greek lexicon sometimes can go on and on and on, this whole left column, and it gets very overwhelming. And so instead of just scrolling through and overwhelming yourself, there is a really cool feature that you can use on Apple devices and laptops. I'm not aware of the Android feature. On a Apple or on a Mac, you can hit Command F, and on a laptop, I think it's Alt F, or I don't have a PC keyboard in front of me, but it's Alt or Command F, and it actually gives you an option to search. And so we're going to do that here on this iPad. In the top right hand corner, right above my red button, there is a square with an arrow, and this is how, if I was going to text it to somebody, I would hit the share button. And so I'm going to click it, but instead of texting it to somebody, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to find the line that says find on page. So right there, and I'm going to click find on page, and I'm going to type in John 1 verse 1, because that's where we're at. And if you can see this to the right of where I'm typing, it says 2 of 3, but what it's highlighted is actually John 1:10. So you can arrow down, and right here is John 1:1, and it's actually, and then there's 1 John 1:1, which refers to John 1:1. And so here, now you can take this segment with the Roman numeral 3, and you can get a more specific definition of what the word, what logos means in this passage. It doesn't change the overall meaning, it's just how it was used. So like in the English language, our word clouds are we love pizza, we love our dog, we love our kids, and we love the Lord. Well, hopefully you don't love pizza as much as you love the Lord. And hopefully you don't love pizza as much as you love your kids. And so we kind of cluster it together. And so to get a more specific definition, we can go to the find on page and then read this section to give us more insight specifically as to how that was used. And so this is all in that Thayer's Greek lexicon section, which sometimes is really large and sometimes it's not. If you scroll to the bottom of that, I'm going to go ahead and hit done here at the bottom of my search bar to get this out of my way. It has the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. So sometimes this will shed a little more light into the overview of the word. And then on an iPad, sometime like on a phone, and depending how your iPad is positioned, sometimes it's below it, but it has, this one is on the right hand side, and it's the Englishman's Concordance. And so this is different scriptures where the same word, logos, 3056, is found. So A lot of times when I'm eating the word, I like for the word to speak for itself. And so that is what this is good for. I can go and read other scriptures where the same word is. And if you look right here, it says Strong's Greek 3056 is, it occurs 331 times. And so you could actually click that, and on the left then it gives you all of the 331 places that is found. Now, you always, when you're navigating Bible Hub, you always want to go to the blue arrow at the top, or sometimes it's at the bottom depending on how your device is, or your back button on a computer. So I'm going to hit the blue arrow, the back arrow, and I'm going to go back to the Logos 3056, and then I'm going to go back further to the interlinear where I was, and I can even go back further to the lexicon where I started. And so this is just kind of a brief overview of the two features that we use most in Bible Hub. And so I hope that this helps you.